Hey guys, so I thought I would talk a little bit about the difference between leather, fur, and wool. Because as we all know, or well, if you live in the US, you probably know, fur is considered incredibly cruel and almost nobody wears it, and if you do wear it, you are basically seen as a murderer. Which is a good thing, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, I know in a lot of other countries, like, they don't see it that way, and fur is common, but, so this is all from, like, the US perspective. So that's where I am. Yeah, basically, fur isn't okay, but wool and leather are. And I was thinking about it, I just don't understand the difference between these things, because it's all the same, it all ends in animal suffering, it's all skin, well, I mean, wool's not skin, but it's fur, it's wool, so it still comes from the sheep, and they still suffer tremendously for it. So, obviously with leather, it's a cow's skin, and the cow has to die for that. And a lot of it comes from, I think, India, I'm pretty sure they said in a video, pretty sure. India, one of those countries. I'm so racist. Anyway, yeah, so one of those countries, and what happens is a lot of the cows actually aren't raised to be used for leather or slaughtered or whatever. They're actually people's pets, and then the people can't afford them anymore, so they give them to people expecting them to have a good home. Like, you know, somebody comes up and says, somebody's like, oh, I'll take it, I'll give it a good home, and they're like, okay, well, we can't take care of it anymore, the best we can do is give it a good home. And then they end up marching thousands of miles, I think it's that, yeah. So they end up marching incredibly far in the heat with no rest, no water, no food. And if they fall, the people who are hurting them will do anything to get them back up, including rubbing like pepper in their eyes or breaking their tails, just about anything. So a lot of people think that leather is a byproduct of the meat industry. It's not. It's its own industry. So even if you're telling yourself, oh, I eat meat, I might as well wear with leather too because it's using the whole cow, that's not correct. It's a different industry. The chemicals used to tan leather are incredibly dangerous to the environment, incredibly dangerous to the people who have to work with them. Not all leather is cow leather. There's dog leather and cat leather, and that comes from China, and you don't know if it's impossible to tell the difference between cow leather and dog leather or cat leather. So even though it's pretty hypocritical that you'd wear one and not the other, but you know, that's how it works apparently. But yeah, there's no way to tell the difference between between any of the leather, because it all looks exactly the same. And dogs have it, if anything, worse, because they are let out on a killing floor and basically clobbered over the head to death, and they have to watch the others in front of them get killed like that. So that's leather, why it's so cruel. Obviously, it's incredibly cruel, even though everybody, like, it's everywhere. So I don't see the difference between that and fur, because all the animals suffer for it, and it's just incredibly cruel. So onto wool is it's essentially the same thing. I don't see the difference, because the sheep are treated horribly. The workers are paid by how much wool they collect, not by the hour. So they rush through it. They cut chunks out of the sheep's skin and they sew them up without any anesthetic. And the sheep are terrified the whole time because they're not socialized or anything. They're just grabbed out of their pens and shaved. They're thrown down and shaved. And I think it's called merino wool. I probably pronounced that wrong, but the sheep actually, well, actually all sheep have their tails cut off. Like, a lot of people don't know this, and I didn't know this until recently either. Sheep actually have really long tails, and they're just cut so that it's less work for the wool makers, for the wool industry. So, and but like I was saying with the merino wool, the sheep actually, I can't remember, I think it's, their skin is actually cut off around their tail so that it doesn't get dirty. So they're actually scarred for life just as soon as they're born for that. So again, that's about all I can say right now because my brain's not working right now. I'm half asleep right now. I didn't have any caffeine today, but so I really don't see the difference between any of the three. It's all the same. It's just that we still consider those other two. We still consider leather and wool acceptable, and fur isn't. So, yeah, just think about that next time you're gonna buy leather or wool or whatever. Oh, and keep in mind that the leather gloves you're gonna be buying could be made of cats and dogs. So, just keep that in mind.